versus the Miami Dolphins next on the Unbearable Sports Podcast.
Yeah, she's got some nice long
Welcome back to the Unbearable Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Brad Barron. Welcome back to another preview episode of the Unbearable Sports Show. Make sure to like and subscribe if you're watching out there on YouTube. And joining me, as always, on these preview shows, Mr. Johnny PayPal. PayPal, how you doing, my man?
Hello, Brad. Doing pretty good. Actually, before I hopped on the show with you, just the pre-show and everything, I kind of flashbanged myself.
What?
Have you ever done that before? If
No.
like with like LED lights, like they're pretty bright white light, and they just go on so quick. I was in a dark room. I turned on that light, and like it's one of those things like my eyes had to adjust. I was like, oh my gosh! I turned it back off, and I was like, what the heck just happened?
Yeah, it
And
looks like you got the daylight bulbs going on in your room too. So
oh yeah, it's bright up in here. So
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
So I'm nice and awake now.
I love it. And also gotta say too, for those that are watching out there, also listening, we got a new logo. As everyone can see. Cool story about that logo, actually. I made it kind of because I used an AI generator. That's what we love to do on the show, right? We have AI picks, but I used an AI generator I just typed in Chicago Bears podcast and it threw this logo out, and it was like a gross looking logo. So I had to like clean it up a little bit. But yeah, fun story about the logo now. So for those that are listening, you might have already seen it. Same exact show. Just wanted to kind of switch it up a little bit because that podcast little icon, everybody has that icon. So I'm like, let's change it. Let's add it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. I've never seen a Bears logo like that. So it's really cool. And yeah, the AI generators are just a big thing now. I don't know if you've seen that with like you can type in basically any two things, and then like create an image. So people will do like, I don't know, Justin Timberlake and I don't know,
exactly
the Miami Dolphins, and they'll just put them in a Miami Dolphin jersey or something.
That's exactly what I did. So
really? Yeah.
It works. You
Awesome.
can do that. So yeah, if anyone's starting up a company or something like that, go and look at I think it's called Dolly. And you can use that. It's free. But yeah, we digress. Let's get into some
Bears podcast.
Yeah. Let's get into some Bears talk right now. So PayPal, we're going to be breaking down and previewing the Chicago Bears Week 9 matchup against the Miami Dolphins. But first, it's been a couple days, but we have not told the good people what we feel about these drafts or these trade grades, right? So obviously, we've all heard right now, it's not breaking news, Roquan Smith for a second and a fifth, and AJ Klein and Chase Claypool for a Bears second. I'll actually start it off by just kind of bringing up the Roquan Smith trade. I talked about it on Twitter. I really haven't been on as much as I normally have been. I had this gigantic thread because I saw all these people. You should have gotten a one. You should have gotten multiple stuff. I can't believe it. Here's the thing. To me, I like this trade. I give it a B. And if I'm just doing like a solid grade, not giving it an A, because if it's an A, you're getting a first round pick. But you're getting a second and you're getting a fifth for someone who doesn't want to be on this team, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's not going to be here. He was never going to resign. So you could have maybe tagged and traded in the offseason. That's personally what I thought the Bears were going to do. That's what I was going to do if I was the GM. But it's not like it's crazy or bad. You were not going to keep this guy long term. This guy thought that he was a $20 million player, and he might not sign for $20 million. That's a key thing, too. It's just like in the real world. If you're complaining to your boss that you think you're worth six figures, and they're like, listen, you're not. You're worth 80, right? And if you leave and you walk and then you go into free agency and you talk to another company and they say, yeah, I'll give you 85 or I'll give you 80. You eat
Yeah.
that slice of humble pie and you take the $80,000 job, right? Like,
Yep.
that's what it feels like. To me, Roquan Smith, we got rid of him when he did not want to be here. He was not going to be a part of this, and we got rid of him for a second and a fifth. I'm fine with it, and then now we can see what is capable. That's why it's a B. But PayPal, what did you think?
Yeah, I'm completely the same thing. Yeah, it's not the most amazing trade. I'm still happy about it, like you said. Um, and it does suck because like Roquan is one of those guys that we always wanted to keep. Maybe he could have been that kind of just that leader of the team that we've been thinking of, and he's still young. He's still got his best years ahead of him. Um, it could have been a good guy to really build a team around. That's all young players. Um, and I think the thing was with that, just not being able to like sign him again was him not having an agent was kind of the big thing. It seemed like, I mean, I don't know if you saw Ryan Poles, he had an interview right after
Yeah.
all that. And he's like, yeah, we tried our best, but, and the reporter asked, like, was it harder because didn't have an agent? And he's like, yeah, like, I mean, how do you know, like, he doesn't know his value in the market. If
Yeah.
he had an agent, he would know like his value in the market, like you were saying. And it's just like when you're by yourself, it's cool. He has this confidence about him, thinking he's like the best player in the league. But yeah, eat that humble pie. Just be like, hey, like with how Fred Warner, some of the highlights he's been like coming out with, like that's the reason why he's been a Pro Bowler. And
Yeah.
Roquan this year, you don't see these insane highlights that you've been seeing from these other linebackers.
And I think that's kind of the sad part, right? Like he was not going to resign because he thought of himself this amazing player. And right now, this was the worst scenario for him, right? He was leading the NFL in tackles.
Yeah.
And for the people that watched the games, he had like two good games. He had like
Yeah.
two good games, two okay games at best, and four bad games. Like,
Hmm.
how big of an impact was he making in majority of these games? If he is your $20 million a year player, what is that? What did Khalil Mack do when he was here and when he was on the field? Right? You
Oh my
knew
gosh.
Khalil Mack was there. Khalil Mack was imposing his will. Roquan
Mhm.
Smith has never done that for us consistently. He does that a game or two a year. He racks up some tackles. So yeah, like we weren't going to be able to re-sign him. He didn't look great in this system. He was over like he did not fit this scheme. We got a second and we got a fifth. So to me, I look
Hey,
to what real yeah,
Jack Sanborn time.
Jack
Here we
Sanborn
go.
time. You better
Let's
believe
go.
it's Jack
Let's
Sanborn time.
go.
Let's go. A star Sanborn. Let's go. But no, well, Reload in the comments said now we should go after O-line, D-line, wide receiver. I agree. And this is the benefit of not getting Roquan Smith, not signing Roquan Smith, right? Now you have $20 million next year essentially open because that would have been money that you paid for him. Now you can, it's better from a roster construction perspective because now you can get a cheaper linebacker. I posted this
Mhm.
out on Twitter. A lot of the starting linebackers, Devondre Campbell, I think it was also Bobby Wagner. There was a couple others too. The main linebackers, the main good starting linebackers went for about $8 to $10 million a year. You can get a you can get a starting
That's
linebacker
crazy.
that gives you as good, if not better, production than Roquan Smith for half the price. So that is a great deal. You got a second, you got a fifth, but we traded away the Bears' second round pick for Chase Claypool. There was a lot of rumors out there, and more stuff has come out that the Packers were interested and that the Packers were trying to send their second round pick. And that's why the Bears ultimately went with their second round pick and traded it and got Chase Claypool. But PayPal, I'll let you
Gotcha.
take this one. How would you grade this? What is your feeling on Chase Claypool? And for those watching, what do you guys think?
Yeah, hearing that kind of the Packers were also kind of in the trade deal, like just makes it almost even happier that that happened. Because I think everyone was kind of complaining, like, why did we give up our second? Like it's basically a first round pick, rather than giving up the second of, you know, the other team. It's just like the Ravens. That's basically a 3rd round pick, people are saying. So it is a big difference. But yeah, if you're kind of competing, like I don't want the Packers getting that guy. Like Chase Claypool, I was watching his highlights again, and you just forget how good he is when he actually, like Big Ben, when he was kind of playing well, when they were having that like 9-0 run, what, year or two ago.
Yeah.
Like he gets up and gets the ball. Like he's a physical beast. Um, and yeah, I think this whole like getting a 2nd round, I think people overvalue that sometimes. Like, this is a good proven guy. Like, yeah, he's not putting up amazing numbers now, but we've seen what he's been able to do. We see his personality. I love, he just is such a positive, like great guy for the locker room. And being able to get him for such a cheap price, like salary wise, with almost no one in free agency next year for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's I think I would give it like a B plus A minus. Like it,
Oh, really?
yeah, with the value of just, we didn't really know who would be able to get in the free agency next year. And it's like, we got this guy who could be a 1, or at least take that pressure off of Mooney.
I really like that point, and I feel similarly where to me when this went down, I'm like D. I gave it a D
Yeah,
because
yeah.
I'm like this. You're trading this for this player that has not done well, and then the more that you hear, the more that this is the price on wide receivers, and you mentioned it. The actual salary cap hit is like $1 million, and then $1.5 million next year. You have 2 years cost controlled, and him and Mooney have the same deal basically, 2 years still. And
Mhm.
after that, then you can decide who are you going to re-sign. All rumors point to Mooney signing a deal this offseason, but these wide
Oh,
receivers don't become available in free agency. There's no one good in free agency, and you were right about it a couple weeks ago when you said this, and I was saying I think that the wide receiver class is pretty good. But now with Jackson Smith and Jigba going down with an injury, this wide receiver class in the draft does not look great, does not look
mhm.
deep. And I think that this is a move for the future. And I think about this too. Elijah Moore is not proven. Elijah Moore hasn't done anything. Do we want another
True.
unproven wide receiver? Do we want DJ Moore, which a lot of people said he wasn't available, or like Brandon Cooks? Both of those guys have huge contracts. Brandon Cooks, almost 30
Whew.
years old. What do we really want those guys that might have a couple of years, or Brandon Cooks will only have a couple of years in the tank? Chances are that you're not trading for DJ Moore unless you give a first rounder up. Like, I think when you look at what was available, it makes it more palatable than,
Mhm.
and it shows too, this team is in on Justin Fields. I know there's been all those naysayers. You look at this team, you look at what you need, and it upgrades your team, it upgrades your offense, not just for this year, but for next year. So I
Yep.
like it, but
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
I'll let
It
you keep with the B plus A minus.
Yeah, it's a great feeling. I mean, Ryan Poles, we can see how much he values, like, he's not gonna overpay for a guy, it seems like, which
Yeah.
is music to our ears when we, kind of rolled with the whole Ryan Pace stuff, because he was overpaying everyone, and Poles is not having it.
So
So
those are our grades on the drafts. Let us, or I say drafts because it just drafts and grades. I'm already in draft season, but those are our grades on the trades. Let me know what you guys believe down in the comments if you're watching. But this is a preview show after all, right? We got to get into this preview. Bears versus the Dolphins. So let's start this off with the offensive side of the football, right? So this Bears offense playing well, playing hot. We're looking good. And also, we're looking even better because we have Cody Whitehair potentially coming back.
Oh,
Just
thank
got
the maker,
activated.
Brad. Thank the maker.
Just got activated yesterday on the 2nd. And so PayPal, do you think that Whitehair's actually going to be back, actually going to be in? And question 2, Do you think that the Bears would actually look at him at center, or hey, that's just a fan pipe dream? He's going to be left guard because that's how things work.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a pipe dream. I mean, he's been doing great at left guard. Why would you kind of switch him out? Like he's probably had his I don't say his best season, but I remember kind of last year and the year before he wasn't doing too well left guard, or he didn't seem as good. But in this system, like he's been playing a lot better. So keep him where he's been doing fantastic. Mustafa has been still terrible in the passing game, but still like he's looking great in the running game. So he'll be a guy that we can just kind of leave in a nice substitute till Lucas Patrick hopefully comes back. Um, but yeah, Brad, I mean, this is such a big it makes me so happy that he's back because man, now we only just got one person in the line that's kind of that misfitter. That's someone that we won't have, we don't want there, instead of two or three people.
Yeah, and also we're waiting on Lucas Patrick to be back, and yeah, I'm I'm just excited to have him out there, and I think that you saw Michael Schofield what he's able to do. Good
Yeah.
pass blocker, good backup. Now I think that the big question, something that I'm looking at, just because I like roster construction, I think it's interesting. I think I'm curious to see if they send Michael Schofield back to the practice squad or if they send Dieter Iselin back to the practice squad
Oh,
because Dieter plays center and he can play guard. But we all know that Schofield is the better guard. I mean, some people might debate that, but who do you have out there as your backup? Because if you don't have Dieter out there, then Whitehair, chances are, is going to be that backup center.
gotcha.
Unless they think that Schofield could potentially play center. But it's just something to be on the lookout for because you want to have at least a backup. Personally, what I would do is I'd keep Dieter as the backup. I put Dieter on practice squad and then activate him come game time, right?
Mm,
Just to make sure you have somebody on the active roster that's able to be out there. Because Schofield has shown he's a good player and he could be swept up off the practice squad. And it's nice having that depth piece. But
yep.
PayPal, I haven't even really talked about the matchups yet, right? So the Bears offense, we've been moving up on the DVOA rankings. We are now 29th. No longer, yes,
Wow.
so long 30s.
Is this the
We
defense we're talking about?
Oh no, it's not. Wait till we
Wow.
get to the defense. Spoiler alert. So, but what we got going on here is the 29th ranked offense, according to Football Outsiders DVOA, 31st pass and 18th run. But then we'll be going against a pretty good defense, the Miami Dolphins. It's been very injured. They're the 25th ranked, according to Football Outsiders DVOA metric, 29th against the pass, 9th against the run. But
Oh boy.
so this defense, it's not been that great. PayPal, this overall defense or this overall offense for the Bears, I just checked. We had 370 total yards and 308 or 390 yards last week as well. So we've been a top 10 offense over the past couple
Wow.
weeks. Do we keep it going against what seems to be a more poor type of defense?
Man, that's a tough one, Brad, because hearing that they're really good against the run, which is very weird for me. I always think of the Dolphins as kind of this good secondary, these fast secondary guys.
Same.
But man, but yeah, their front seven is very aggressive now with Bradley Chubb. I mean, holy crap,
Yeah.
that's kind of scary. Like you look at their front seven, you got Phillips, who's been I never heard of this guy really, and he's been playing out of his mind. I think he has the fourth highest pass rushing like percentage. I think it's like 25% pass rushing.
Jeez.
Yeah, he's going nuts, and they got Wilkinson and Melvin Ingram from the Chargers, and yeah, Bradley Chubb to just make him even more scary. So our offensive line is going to have a little hard time for the second week in a row. Um, but yeah, the thing is with this defense is they are a good run defense. So can we kind of do what we did against New England, who was also known for the great run defense, and just, keep them off guard with the Justin Fields runs and, keep them, shuffle in Herbert, shuffle in Montgomery, keep these fresh legs out there and really tire out this defense, because that's what we've been known to do. And I think that's kind of why we've been able to get these 300-yard games, is tiring out the defense. I mean, in the fourth quarter, we just seem like we have this a lot more energy and stamina than the other team.
Yeah, I like your point too with the running quarterbacks as well. Where Miami has had a lot of issues is with those running quarterbacks. Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, both of them have sliced up this Miami team, right? And you said it. The front four, that's going to be the story because that's where they're strongest. And yeah, the secondary, they've just been banged up, right? Howard has not been playing the way that he normally has been. And I think overall, they've had so many issues with the back end too. Holland's been like the only consistent piece, but he's been having to shift all the way around on this Dolphins defense. That, yeah, it gets me a little bit more optimistic because I'm kind of like, hey, if we can run some of these QB powers like we were and continue to just try and push them and pressure and kind of get that going, I think that we could do pretty darn well against this team. But also got a little bit more stats on this defense as well, just to kind of help paint the picture. They're 27th in yards per play at 5.9. So bad defense, just to kind of add that a little bit more. 27th in turnovers, in turnover percentage at 8%, which is not good. They have the 11th highest blitz rate, which is very interesting. So 28.4. Might change with Bradley Chubb being out there, but here's the fun part. They're 29th, according to Pro Football Reference, at 14.8 pressure percentage. So you know that they blitz a lot. They're not getting home to the quarterback, hence a big reason why they went after Bradley Chubb. They're 29th in expected points contributed with their passing defense. So even they think that this is a bad defense, a bad passing defense, but 12th in rushing. So PayPal, do you think that this passing offense is going to be able to uncork it for 200, 250? What are your feeling?
Brad, I think a storyline might be I mean, think about it. Chase Claypool comes up. I don't know if you're thinking that. I don't know how much he's going to play necessarily. I don't know if he's going to throw back, like come in the system and just dominate, or if he needs like a week or two to really get used to everyone. But wouldn't that be awesome if Chase Claypool comes in and just absolutely dominates this defense? Like we just go out there, pass heavy. Justin Fields is just dotting up Chase Claypool. He's doing his thing. But yeah, I mean, it seems like that's something we can do. Like opponents usually score like 24 points against this team. So it's a pretty easy team to score against. And heck, after a week that we just had with Justin Fields just dotting up everyone against the Cowboys defense, who's they were ranked maybe first in pass defense with their pass rush and their secondary. They're a very aggressive secondary. So this is crazy, feeling so confident in our offense, who's performed so well the past 2 weeks. And man, like Claypool, Komet, that connection, like I wonder just with Claypool being out there, if this like unleashes Komet, like is he going to be scoring more now? Like he finally got that touchdown. Is he going to be scoring more? Is he going to get the ball more? So, man, offense is looking on the up right now, Brad.
Yeah, I agree there, where the offense definitely feels good. And one of my favorite things too is, yes, I love the Chicago Bears podcast and stuff that I listen to, but I love listening to national media because I like to hear kind of this unbiased opinion.
Yeah.
And I forgot what show it was, but they said, honestly, I loved watching Justin Fields. They're like, it's just, he's getting it. And they're like, you see Wilson, right? You see Zach Wilson. They're like, that's a bad quarterback. Justin Fields is not that. I'm like, thank you. Like,
goosebumps. Yeah, like, I get chills.
Like, let's go. And I think that's the biggest piece, right? He's been putting together good games. And I look at these wide receivers, right? So PayPal at the beginning, who did we have? We had Darnell Mooney, Equinemius St. Brown, and also Dante Pettis was the
Yeah.
other wide receiver, right?
Mhm.
Now, obviously, we still have Darnell Mooney, but to me, Claypool is very, very similar to how EQ was, right? Even though that Claypool was played heavy in the slot, I think he is more of an outside guy. I think he's kind of an upgrade over EQ St. Brown.
Oh,
And
yeah.
also, Byron Pringle, there was talks that he could. I don't think he's going to be back this week, but I think he's going to potentially be back next week, right? It's something to be on
Mhm.
the lookout for. He can be activated over these next coming weeks. And also Eberflus even brought it up that yeah, we're excited to get Whitehair and Pringle back. I thought Pringle was gone for the season. And
Yeah.
now it sounds like he can be back. And if you have Byron Pringle over even though that Pringle wasn't amazing in the preseason, wasn't amazing in training camp, I still felt like he's an upgrade over a Dante Pettis
Mhm.
and a Claypool upgrade over EQ St. Brown. And yeah, your offensive line is coming together with Jenkins, and I'm excited for this. Now, Larry Borum might not be out there, but still, I don't mind it if Riley Reef is there. But PayPal, we got a question for you. I know that you're going to be kind of bringing this up later on, but are you feeling good? Do
Oh,
you think?
reload. It's obviously it's my optimism for the Bears. It's totally not I'm trying to get better in the record. Brad's been smoking me in the record of guessing if we're gonna win or lose, but
we can.
you have to stay through the whole show to reload. Who knows? I might be really pessimistic this week, but who
I,
knows?
I like it, but also another question, another thing too. When's Lucas Patrick coming back? PayPal, I don't know if you've heard anything, but I just looked it up because he was injured in week 7, so
Yeah.
placed on IR. So then you're assuming he's missing at least 4 weeks from there. So maybe coming back at the earliest, like week 12, but
Mhm.
or maybe after the bye week, but it wouldn't be till later half. So unfortunately, we gotta stick with Mustafa. And just for those that are interested and curious about this, so I usually put together a little graphic with the PFF grades. Now, PFF grades aren't everything, and you might have noticed Sam Mustafa is ranked as the 11th best center in the NFL. I have his grades up right now on my other screen, and I can confidently tell you it's not because of his pass block grade. His pass block grade is ranked 33rd in the NFL,
Wow.
but his run blocking grade is ranked 9th. So I believe that the way that they calculate that too with the overall, it's not just a simple 50% because the Bears are a run heavy team. It's then favored more so that he's more
Ah,
heavily utilized for what he does, right? Because if you're a good blocker and you're a wide receiver and you're blocking all the time, you should have a higher grade than someone who doesn't. Um,
gotcha.
so yeah, that's why Musty's grade is a little bit higher. But when you go down the line, Braxton Jones is 30th out of 78 tackles, Borum 41st out of 78, Whitehair is 10th out of 81 guards, and Jenkins is 8th out of 81 guards. I'm just excited to
Man.
see this interior, and yeah,
There's a
I'm
lot of
pumped.
good grades out here, Brad. I remember seeing like the beginning of the season, or even like a couple weeks in, it was all this red, all like for everyone, Fields, Komet, our
Yeah.
entire offensive line basically, and now it's a lot of green, a lot of 60 plus grades. So it's
This
it's
team
awesome to see that.
this team is coming together. But
Yeah,
hey, pal, I got another question for you too. I want to kind of switch over to the running game. So, someone who was not traded, I thought Monty was going to get traded. Our friend of the
yeah.
show, Mikey Betts, was saying that he was going to get traded. That he had an inside source that said that there was talks between the Falcons and the Bears. And I trust him. I trust his source. Just means that it didn't get committed, didn't get the trigger wasn't pulled on it. Do you think that David Montgomery is going to have less carries than Khalil Herbert again this week?
Yeah, I think I mean he's still just feeding the hot hand, and I think we can see that they're trying to get Montgomery going. And then we see it's just every time Montgomery just keeps pounding it, it's like, yeah, those 3 to 5 yards, but then Khalil will come out and be getting these 10 yards. And then it's like, okay, let's just keep feeding Herbert then. So I think that's just gonna be how it is. Like, I don't think we're gonna see Herbert starting anytime soon, but it's gonna be Montgomery just kind of starting the game and then Herbert finishing. Um, so I guess I'm kind of happy. Like, it would have been nice to kind of trade Montgomery, but in the back of my mind, I was like, who's gonna be our backup running back then? I mean,
Yeah.
Ebner has been, old cement,
Old cement
shoes.
shoes
Yeah, old
himself.
cement shoes, and back in 1920, man, no one could tackle cement shoes. But like I was like, maybe we bring up like Darrington Evans because he was looking
Yeah.
decent. Maybe Blazing Game, backup running back, who knows? But yeah, it's all done now, so we don't have to worry about that.
And I want to bring this up too, right? Because if you look at the stats and you look at the board, right, you see, wow, Khalil Herbert's got more rushing yards, more carries. So that means that he's the lead guy, right? But it's
Yeah.
incorrect because I'm looking at a snap count right now. Khalil Herbert, 22 snaps. And David Montgomery, let me do the math real quick, 55. so it's 55 to 22. Big difference here. So even though that Khalil's getting more touches, you still have David Montgomery with the more snaps. He's still your lead guy. He can still pass block a lot better. And honestly, I would have loved to see the Bears get rid of Monty for the sake of building a team and getting some compensation, because you're not going to get a comp pick because we're going to be buyers in free agency. But still, what's nice is, I guess, you're keeping a leader in the locker room, right? Like if you traded away all your leaders, you'd be sitting going like, what the heck's going on? So that's another thing too about the Claypool trade that I like, is you show them that we're not just selling the farm, right? We're adding people back. We're creating something. We're building. Don't worry about this yet. But PayPal, last little question for you, and then we can get into some matchups and X factors. What are you afraid of this week?
Yeah, I'm afraid of Bradley Chubb. I think it's the number one guy that I'm afraid of. It's so weird still, Brett. I'm not afraid of this offense anymore. Like, I'm confident how Justin Fields has been playing, but I think in the back of my mind, like, I'm just kind of shoving in the back, I think, is I guess I am scared of, like, what if Justin Fields does get sacked? Like, what if he gets like rattled a little bit? But it's still like, I'm still like, we know who he is. We've seen the adversity that he's gone through, and I don't think he could get rattled. Like, I think he's been through so much this season and kind of been that next play mentality. Like, we really see he's been doing his yoga breaths and all that stuff. Like, he stayed calm throughout the entire game. I guess I just want to see him smile. I think that's my worry. It's like, just smile more, boy. It's just, and maybe that's just why he's been so good, because he's just so calm all the time. But smile more. Hopefully, we'll see a Justin Fields smile this game.
Sounds good. And you got a question out here, PayPal. Do you think we need a new running back since we're thinking about trading Monty?
Yeah, I don't think we would really sign anyone. I think we would probably just bring up Darrington Evans, because he did play pretty well in the preseason. So maybe we just see how he kind of plays out. And yeah.
And the trade deadline's done too. So
yeah, exactly.
Now it's all like, it's just waiting until honestly, now it's how much does he want, right? And I think that if I'm the Bears, I'm not extending him right now. I'm waiting till the off season. I'm waiting till free agency, because I feel like Monty wants to be back. And I feel like he needs that, like we're saying, he needs a dose of reality to see what's the market for running backs. Because you're not going to go up to him and be like, hey, we'll give you $5 million a year, right? We'll give you $5 million. We'll give you $6 million. Like, people are going to think you're giving him $10+ million a year for this running back, which would be way too much. And I think, you give him a little dose of the reality, like have people offer him stuff, and he's like, oh, that is my worth. And now the Bears could be like, yeah, we want you, or no, we don't want you, and we'll just either sign someone or just draft someone, whatever comes up. But PayPal, let's get into our matchups of the week, our monster matchups. I just thought of that because of the song Monster Mash from this weekend. So let's do the monster matchups. So, monster matchup this week. What do you got for this? What do you got for us, PayPal? Or are you still thinking about it?
I'm thinking about mine, Brad. I'm kind of between two right now, and I kind of see what you have to say.
Okay, I see how it is.
Yeah.
Fine. My monster matchup this week is going to be Darnell Mooney versus Noah Igbehanami. Yeah, gosh, I hear it so many times. Igbehanami. That guy.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And yeah, that guy.
They're the outside corner from Auburn, Noah. I'll just I'm on a first name basis with him. Noah, that's going to be my matchup. He's not been a good corner. He's not played well. And Howard has not played great. Xavier Howard hasn't been phenomenal this year. But the reason why Mooney versus Noah is going to be my big matchup. And I was going to say Claypool. That was my big thought, is like, who is it going to be? That's my matchup for this week, because you talked about it with the offensive line. I think that the game plan this week for the Bears is going to be adding a lot of blockers, right? We saw it a lot last week where they tried to neutralize the pass rush and then try and attack them deep. And they need to just win their matchups, win their man-to-mans, win their zone coverage. And that's why I think the corner matchups are going to be huge, because the Bears are going to be having a lot of blockers in so that nobody can hit them. So that's my matchup of the week. PayPal, buy you some time.
Yeah, thank you, Brad. I think, honestly, this might be a kind of weird one, but I'm thinking Cole Kmet and their new guy. God, why am I blanking on his name? Freaking
Claypool?
No, the new guy that they just got for their D line, Bradley Chubb.
Yep.
Cole Kmet and Bradley Chubb. And the reason why I have that as a matchup is I think Bradley Chubb, as you were just saying, Cole Kmet is going to be chipping him a lot, and kind of hopefully he can kind of get those maybe one-on-ones for running games. We've seen our tight ends and even sometimes a receiver like EQ block these guys. Like we saw Braxton Jones kind of lock down Micah Parsons last week on the run. So yeah, can we get a tight end to kind of block him and kind of, use kind of a less important guy like a tight end blocking against a bigger guy like Bradley Chubb? Because man, he's been doing a phenomenal running and blocking these big tough guys. So it's a weird matchup, Brad, but I think he's going to be able to do this, and I think that that's why we had great success kind of protecting Justin Fields against the scary Cowboys defensive line.
Yeah, I like that. That makes a lot of sense. And yeah, I agree. And also another thing too, because you made me think about this with the tight end, Notre Dame. Chase Claypool was technically seen as a tight end when he was at Notre Dame. People were thinking that he was a tight end. He was the other tight end of Notre Dame. And that's where another good blocking wide receiver. So you better believe it, because he's another guy that should be able to block pretty well out at wide receiver with Claypool. But PayPal, let's go over to our X factors. There's some comments that we'll get to when we get to the defense a little bit too. When we switch over to the Bears defense, but let's get into our X factors of the week. As normal, if you are listening or watching us, comment your X factor. Who do you think is going to need a big game in order for them to win? And PayPal, do you have your X factor, or do you want me to go again?
I can do mine. I can do mine.
Brad. I hope you don't take mine. So now I'll let you go.
We'll see. I have Chase Claypool. I think he's the kind of the big man now. I'm sorry if I took your guy. You're kind of, but it's like what we were just talking about. Like he's the upgraded version of EQ. Like I think that's a beautiful kind of comparison of like, yeah, he's this blocking wide receiver, very physical receiver, but then he also can actually catch, unlike EQ. EQ, whenever he kind of had those jump balls last week, it was like they were failed. So I think this is the guy that we can do these one-on-one matchups. And last week we saw their number one corner, like Trevon Diggs, be on Mooney most of the time. So now we have these two wide receivers, and now Claypool. We'll kind of see if they kind of give him the number one receiver status. So if if Noah Iggy whatever is gonna be on Mooney or Claypool. And I feel like if he's on Claypool, we're gonna be seeing them take advantage fully of that because we saw that last week. I forgot the corner's name, but basically their second corner, they were just trying to pick on him, and it didn't work out when it was EQ. But now we got an actual number two or number one receiver in Claypool.
So yeah, I knew I shouldn't have had you go first because that was my guy. That was my guy that I felt like
I had a feeling. That's why I had to go first.
Yeah, because
I had a feeling.
He's seriously what I think that Claypool is the ultimate X factor because we don't even know how much he's going to be playing. And I think to this point, the Bears are going to have, like to your matchup, they're going to have a lot of people blocking, trying to pick up the blocks. So that's why I think that it is going to be a lot about the wide receivers getting open, making the catches, because I think there's going to be a lot of you have to get open. You have to beat your guy. You have to find the soft spot in the zone. You have to make the play when there's only 3 wide receivers running wide or 4 people running on routes. I was trying to think, like, is there anybody else that I could think of to kind of, I could just pick Komet and be like, aha, here's another guy. But
hey, you can pick Claypool too. I mean, I think we can both agree he's super important to this game.
It adds it all. It adds it all together, right? Like that's the biggest piece. It's Braxton Jones. I mean, it's Claypool, but Braxton Jones was my other guy that I was thinking about too. Because Braxton is one of those players where he can move the pile and he can move everybody. Like you run on his side, and him and Whitehair are back. So I'm gonna do that. It's my lowercase X factor is Braxton Jones, because if he can hold his own in the pass blocking, you're talking about a great player out there. So and that now the rest of the offense can really kind of click. The reason, just in case if anyone listening is curious, reason why we don't pick Justin Fields is that's too easy. That is too easy for us to pick. But PayPal, let's go over to this defense. And actually, real quick, we could just kind of we have some comments out here that I just want to kind of point out. We have the money to buy Diggs. Do you think we can sign him? If it's Stephon Diggs, I don't think he's not a free agent yet. Or he won't be a free agent next year. I don't know if you're talking about Stephon or the Dallas Diggs. Yeah. But I don't think the other Diggs would be up yet for free agency. Other question says, Claypool have enough time with Fields and the playbook? Is he just a decoy and blocker? I think that he should at least have some plays out there. I don't think he's going to be like a full-time starter, just because he has to understand the system as well. But let's flip over to this defense. And to start this off, we have a hot take, one of the hottest takes I think we've had on this show from our boy Tiff. If our defense pull the same stunt as last week, he says fire Flus and Williams. I think that's hot, man.
Yeah, I'm getting away from that fire. I'm putting that out.
That is a hot take. He says our defense needs some whooping to get their stuff together. I get that. They definitely do. I say let's see how this defense comes out against this offense. But ladies and gents, this is a very, very good offense that we're going to be going against.
Fast.
Football Outsiders has them ranked as the 5th best offense, 3rd best passing offense, and 19th best running offense. So this is good. This is a very good offense, very fast offense. And here's the thing, too. I believe they are undefeated when Tua is actually out there. So when they actually have a starting quarterback, this offense is great, right? We know that they added Armstead as their left tackle. Connor Williams, someone who I really wanted the Bears to get, has been great at the center position, been ranked as the third best center according to PFF, and he's played great. So honestly, Hill, Waddle, Gesicki, Tua, this team has been very, very good on offense. And as for our defense, we plummeted in the Football Outsiders DVOA rankings. We are down to 26. We were always around like 15, kind of in that middle. But after last week and after trading away Roquan Smith and trading away Robert Quinn, they said, enough's enough. You're 26, 18th against the pass, which I thought was cruel, and 28th against the run, which seems pretty decent. I mean, it seems pretty fair, right?
Yeah,
and it's very fair. But PayPal, I have a question for you. So Donald out here says Williams said the Bears D will get better without Quinn and Smith. How true do you feel that is? And also, is there truth to what Williams was saying about that, do you feel?
I am completely on that page because I'm one of those people. I think if you bring in like young guys like Sanborn and kind of like Robinson and these other guys, like it brings like an energy of like next man up. And I feel like this team kind of bleeds that. Like we've seen Sanborn even last game, like he still made a decent plays, but now he's got the starting position. I could totally see him coming out there and having this chip on his shoulder and all this energy of finally I got my chance. And we saw it in preseason. He just looked phenomenal the first time he was out in preseason. So the first time he's going to be out in an NFL game, I just think he's going to take advantage of it. We'll see if Robinson and kind of Muhammad seemed like he was kind of the backup for, or the kind of replacement for Robert Quinn last week. And Muhammad didn't play too bad either. Like, it's just figuring out that run defense. And Sanborn, kind of, he's that Wisconsin guy. I think he could maybe help us stuff the run a little bit more. I mean, he's not the fastest, but he's got that smart IQ.
Yeah, and I think it sounds so weird saying that this defense could be better. But yeah, I think it's also a heavy on the system, right? Robert Quinn did not look like Quinn did not look like he wanted to be here. Roquan, I felt he had a couple of the good games, right? If you're looking at his bad games, you can get better, right? He had just had 2 great games, which I think you look at Morrow. Morrow didn't have great games, but Morrow has had his good games. And not saying that Morrow is the next Roquan Smith, but as long as the front 7, especially the linebackers, are playing their positions and playing where they need to be, I think this defense will be better. And if you go down the list and rewatch the film, he did not look great. I mean, Roquan Smith did not play well. A lot of blame goes on Roquan for how he was playing last week. And hopefully you can have someone disciplined. But we brought up the darling of the show, Jack Sanborn. I hope he's going to be starting because to me, I don't know. What do you think? Because I feel like if I am the Bears, I'm putting Sanborn out there. I'm putting the rookie that has been he's been the backup for Roquan Smith. He understands this defense. I'm putting him out there and then having a Joe Thomas be your Sam. And then because AJ Klein has always been seen as like a special teamer, right? And he's played some, but I'd rather see the upside of Sanborn. What do you think? Who do you think is actually going to be out there?
I totally see it. I mean, were they kind of preparing for this to happen? I mean, last week they played Sanborn a little bit. I was so surprised. So I would not be surprised if we see Sanborn out there. And yeah, like I said, Brett, I totally think Sanborn as well as guys, like he's going to be prepared for this game. He was prepared preseason week 1. He's going to be prepared now. So I Brad, we might have to buy a jersey if he gets like a pick or if he just has like 20 tackles, but
Yeah.
we'll see.
If he does, I've actually thought about this. I'm like, I kind of want to buy a jersey and we do like a
Right?
giveaway and I'll see if he can sign it. Like we'll be like, we
That'd be
are your
awesome.
biggest fans on this show. Like, even though I feel every Bears show claims to be a Sanborn fan, I starred him when he was signed. Just saying.
Yeah. And hey, we got the Wisconsin sign,
Yeah,
the flag in the background to prove it.
exactly.
So
We live in Wisconsin. That's how
yeah, come
dedicated
on.
we are to the great Jack
Yeah, we
Sanborn.
moved this. No,
We moved. If
we
you don't
moved to
live in
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin, don't call yourself a Sanborn fan.
Exactly.
But yeah, like we'll see. I hope that he's out there, but I will also give some credit. Joe Thomas has looked decent. He's looked solid. And I hate saying that because he's like 31 years old as a linebacker. He's a vet. He knows where to be. He knows where to play. And that's where, to me, give the rookie a chance. Like, I always like to tie it back to the real world, right? Give the person who's got the potential a chance to be that great position. And if not, then give it to someone else who like doesn't have that potential, but you're like, all right, this person's going to be able to get the job done, right? You want to
Mhm.
see what someone is capable of, see what Sanborn's capable of, see what he can do. And if not, then give it to Klein. I feel like what the Bears are probably going to do is it's probably going to be Morrow. Then it's probably going to be Joe Thomas out there. And yeah, then you're probably going to have AJ Klein as well. And maybe Sanborn's just the starting Sam this week. But that's
Yeah.
personally what I feel is going to happen. But let's see though. Some other stats too that I have. Let's actually kind of flip over to this offense, PayPal, because I'm curious. I think I already know who you're most worried about, but this is the number one passing offense with 2,340 passing yards, fourth in touchdowns with 15, number three at yards per play at 6.2. They score on 36.9% of their drives, which is 17th. And they have the 10th best sack percentage. So they do not let up a lot of sacks, like that would even matter for the Bears. But what is your biggest fear about this offense coming in?
Man, I think of the speed. I mean, what Mostert was like a track star back in his day. Same with Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Like you just see speed out there, and then even Gasecki, like he just has glue on his gloves. Like he just did not drop balls at all. He just has amazing hands as a tight end, and I'm jealous. He knows how to score. He knows how to score touchdowns from the tight end spot, which hopefully we get that from Komet soon. I mean, we saw one last week, but man, we gotta really have that shell, that cover two defense spot on this week. Hopefully, our safeties Brisker and Eddie can play. Hopefully, they can still be in the game and be aggressive. But I have a feeling they're going to be back, looking for Hill, looking for Waddle, and just preventing deep ball plays and forcing them to throw it short. And kind of hopefully that allows our linebackers like Sanborn to be aggressive and really
Yeah.
play on the ball. So yeah, this speed scares me. I think it scares any defensive coordinator or anyone because Tyreek Hill has proven that Patrick Mahomes is not the person that made him look good. It was Tyreek Hill that just is
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill. He's
And
insane.
I'm actually kind of shocked that he's been looking this great, this amazing, because yeah, it's been absolutely nuts to watch Hill. But yeah, Hill is definitely the game breaker. Waddle and Gasecki have been great in the red zone, and yeah, it's been nuts. And like this is going to be a fast team, but what's nice is you mentioned the cover two. The cover two system was known for kind of taking out some of this speed, right? Especially a Tyreek Hill. But
Hmm.
if it's that easy, why is Hill gonna on pace to break the all-time receiving yards for this year? Like, there's a reason why he's so good. There's a reason why this offense has been phenomenal. It's speed, it's being disciplined, it's playing well. Yeah, it's absolutely nuts. But Yeah, and had to laugh. Donald was saying that his fingertips are becoming numb. He's losing his feeling in his fingertips, but he had some great points up here, just stating how the Bears system, like it does say a lot about what Williams said about Roquan and about Roquan and Quinn, because it's all about the system. It's about buying in, it's about being in place, and it's about playing good football. And it seems like both of those guys just weren't there. So now we get to see what this defense looks without them. And PayPal, this isn't just a question for this week, right? How good do you think this defense actually is? Like when all is said and done, fast forward, let's just say 5 weeks, right? When we hit the bye week in week 14, what do you think Football Outsiders thinks of this defense? Are we thinking
Man,
like in that teens range? Are we thinking that this is a 20 plus, like a bad defense? What's your feeling?
it's hard because I mean the worst part about this defense is the defensive line, and we've seen if they play well, like our defense will play well too. Like we have the secondary. Our linebackers obviously aren't, standout guys, but like they can play. It's just that those front four guys have just been struggling getting pressure, struggling getting sacks, and struggling to just, even split the line for the running attack. So I gotta almost say that we're kind of the upper 20s range still. Like I think, or I would say maybe 25, just because of our defensive line. We have the guys in the secondary and everything, but man, if we just were able to play those front four guys, this defense can be really darn good. Like maybe I do 15 because we do have those back guys, Eddie Jackson and Brisker. I'm surprised Jackson and Brisker aren't rated higher in PFF. I think they're phenomenal safeties, and it still is high rank with 16th for Jackson and 25th for Brisker.
Yeah.
But man, those guys are playing great.
Yeah.
And if we could just figure out that defensive line, this defense could turn itself around, because that was the problem last week. Just letting Tony Pollard find any hole he wanted to.
That's the biggest piece. Yeah, people were moving us, people were shifting us off the ball. That's a big fear that I have too about this defense is that when you have a big Teron Armstead, you got these bigger guys. They have decent offensive linemen, right? And they can potentially
Mhm.
move us. And with Mostert, we struggle against speed, right?
Oh,
We
yeah.
we always have the bigger running
Oh,
backs we
gosh.
bring down, fast running backs we suck at. I'm sorry to burst our bubble, but that's it. Like, right? We have not
Yes.
been good at tracking down fast running backs. But to to the previous question, I think that Jackson and Brisker get brought down in their grades just because of those big plays, right? There's been a handful
Yep.
of plays where a touchdown comes up, and usually it's at fault of one of them not being in the right position, and that's a big play, a big time play that was let up. But yeah, the
Yep.
secondary is good. But like what Reload was saying in the comments too, defense ain't great, or the defensive line is not good. And I think that's the biggest piece, a big thing that we need to be focusing on this offseason. Good thing is that there will be people that we can add in. So we shall see what this defensive line can potentially do, what this defense can do. Like I said, the offensive line will be very interesting. But PayPal, let's get into some of these monster matchups that we have for this defense versus this Miami offense. Do you have any off the top of your head right now?
I think off the cup is just kind of Jalen Johnson and Tyreek Hill. I think that's kind of that matchup we'll be looking
Safe.
for. Is he going to be, lined up against him? Is he going to be, are they really good? It's going to have Johnson follow him around. What is kind of that thing they're going to be doing? Because Jalen Johnson has been known to lock up wide receivers. So I wouldn't be surprised if they at least attempt that with Tyreek Hill. But again, he's a different breed of person. Like he's so short, just freaking pure muscle. Like he's just a rock of muscle. And he's just so fast and can do anything. Like he just does not drop anything. So we'll see. We'll see that matchup. I think it's obviously favored towards Tyreek Hill as of now, but Jalen Johnson, he's been known to be a baller, so we'll see if he
Yeah,
can do that.
that's a very good point, especially because the pure speed. I uh, I hate saying it because I think it's gonna be these wide receivers, right? And I think that I'm gonna go opposite Kindle Vildor
Yeah.
versus whoever's opposite of him, right? Because Kindle, we saw that he wants to give that space, right? And that was taken advantage of. With these wide receivers, you got to give them space. And are they going to try and take advantage of that as well? Vildor and Johnson, not known for being super, super speedy corners out there. I'm gonna go over to him. I was tempted to even go with Gordon because we talked about this all the time. Gordon's a great athlete. I don't think he's got as much straight line speed. And we're talking about humble pie. There's no bigger slice of humble pie than going against Tyreek Hill. Like you go against Hill, you are the slowest person out there, right? And you can't take advantage of people with your athleticism. So that's going to be mine. Actually, I think my number 2 will be the great Jack Sanborn. Or
Yeah.
I'll be safe and just say Nicholas Morrow. The anybody at linebacker versus Mostert, right?
Yep.
Speed guy, get to the edge, seal it off, try and contain him. That's going to be my matchup for the week then. Besides just all those wide receivers. But PayPal, X Factor. Who is your X Factor on this defense that can really change and take over this game?
I have a feeling of who you're gonna choose, so I won't choose them.
Okay. No, you
So
can pick them. You can
no,
pick
I'll
whoever you
do
want.
I'll do I'll do something different. I'll do Eddie Jackson. I think what I'm kind of scared about in the back of my mind is that Eddie Jackson has been known to kind of let up those big plays. Can he be the person that stays back and prevents Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle to get these huge plays? Bears bones with the Brisker. That's always hard. It's basically Brisker and Eddie Jackson. I mean, they act as one. They're just great duo out there. So I just have Eddie Jackson, and if he can kind of not let the Dolphins get those big plays, I think we hold them to less points. We hold them from getting a huge lead in the beginning, and just kind of keep us in the game throughout the start. So we just don't want we've been getting the Cowboys. They started off with a huge lead. Same with the week before. So just not let them up to a big lead, and we can do that with Eddie Jackson not letting up deep balls.
So PayPal, this is why I was kind of wanting you to just say who you wanted, because I'm going with Brisker. I'm agreeing with Bears Bones.
Oh, really?
I think we're on the same page here where when you have deep plays, it's about the safeties right now, right? Because the corners are gonna get cooked a little bit. And I think that Brisker, to me, the younger player that has not experienced this speed, and hopefully Eddie Jackson can be confident out there. That's where, to me, Brisker is more of that X factor, I would say. That I think needs to have that big game, especially like we said, the running game. Mostert can be going to the outside. Even though I want the linebackers to make the tackles, this might be another heavy safety, and having Brisker wrapping up, making the tackles. He's done that a lot better, right? And I want to give him credit where credit is due. At the very beginning of the year, he missed a lot of tackles. He's doing a lot better now. That's why Brisker, to me, is my X factor, and he's a beast. And it's not a show without saying Jaquan Brisker, just because you can't say it without smiling. Like he's too good of a player, very good out there. But before we wrap up just the defense, I did want to bring this up too, that we haven't talked a lot about their offensive line. We never really talk about the line because we know we're never going to take advantage of it, right? And it's a
true.
mute point. It's like, oh, they have a bad interior. Like they have a really good interior with Hunt and Williams, but they do have a very young player starting at left guard, most likely Robert Jones out of mid Tennessee State. Not a very good player. Do I think we're going to take advantage of that? Absolutely not. But one matchup that I do want to at least bring up that I think we could potentially take advantage of. And maybe I should have had this as my matchup. Brandon Shell, their right tackle. He's starting for them. He started for them the past 4 weeks and has not looked that great. His pass blocking efficiency is 96%, or 96.7%. Not great, not bad. But overall, when he was on the left-hand side, it was really poor. That's when he had an 89 pass blocking efficiency rating. But I think overall, he's someone that you could potentially take advantage of at that right tackle spot. So maybe Travis Gibson can have a halfway decent game.
Yeah, maybe we get a sack.
Maybe we get a sack, a legit sack, not a stunt that somebody becomes free and all of a sudden they do that. But we'll see. That's the defense from the Bears' perspective. But PayPal, we have gone through the offense and we have gone through the defense. So that leaves us with one thing to go through, and that is the special teams review. PayPal, anything you got for this special teams review?
Not much. I mean, Kyer Santos still looking like a beast. Yeah. I don't know if I'll take it your way, Brad.
Oh, I have the stats. I got the stats this week for special teams. Then we'll go into the edges and the overs and unders. Special teams, fun stats. This is a terrible kick returning team, or kick return defense and kick return teams. So their defense on kick returns is they allow the second highest yards per kick return. So
wow.
Give Velus a green light. That's something that I want to look for. Give Velus the green light. Let him show off his speed, right? And this is home as well too. We've been away. Give him the green light. Have him show that he can catch it. Have him run it back. Still have him as the kick returner. Build his confidence up. This is when he should be trying to return. Not a good kick coverage team. But also, this is the 31st ranked in punt returns and kick returns. They suck at returns and special teams in general. Let them return. Give them the opportunity. They only get 17.3 yards per kick return. Wow. Good. Kick it to them. Let Jack Sanborn go down there, make some make AJ Klein go down there, get the tackles, because Sanborn's got to get back on defense.
Got to rest up, yeah.
Got to rest up. But PayPal, let's fly through some of these edges real quick. So I'll start out. Bears run defense. The Miami's run defense versus the Bears running offense, giving the edge to the Bears all day. Best running team out there. Very hard to stop, especially with Justin Fields running the football. Like we said, should be a good advantage for the Bears. Next, Bears, for you, PayPal, Bears passing offense versus the Dolphins passing defense.
I say we got the edge on this one, Brad. I mean,
they
don't have that good of a passing offense. They do have Bradley Chubb we got to worry about, but they have not been known to stop any passing offenses. And Justin Fields has been looking pretty darn good, and the national media has been hyping him up. I mean, I don't know if you've been seeing it, Brad. It's just every time I see the TV and I see Justin Fields, I've seen the best of the draft class, the 2020 draft class that he was in, or 2021 draft class.
Yeah.
But basically ranking all the quarterbacks from that draft class. And it's just all Justin Fields number one. And then, who cares about the rest? So
yeah, I saw that too.
I love seeing that. So
I saw that. We're saying he's the best. And here's the thing. We've said this all the time. He shows the big plays. He's a superstar. He's got the superstar stuff. Let's try and just keep tacking it on, right? Keep adding it on, and he'll get better and better and better. This run game should be great for him. So I like it. But now I got the Bears run defense versus the Dolphins run offense. Even though that Mostert has not gotten a lot of rushing yards, this is not a good rushing attack. The speed element is what gets me nervous, like we said. So to me, I'm giving the edge over to the Dolphins. And PayPal, is this going to be a tie? The passing offense for the Dolphins versus our pass defense.
Yeah, I mean, if we had a pass rush that we could actually rely on, I think it would be a little bit closer, but we don't. So I'm going to give them the edge on this one. The Dolphins the edge on this one. They have one of the top quarterbacks, or at least one of the better rising up quarterbacks in Tua. He's been looking great. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Gesicki, a lot of threats out there.
Sounds good. So let's go over to the over-unders, and then we'll get to our last segment, the game predictions. I'm excited to go through the game predictions because we gave all the edges to the offense, which is great because we haven't given our offense an edge. We haven't given our passing attack an edge in a long, long time. This might be actually the first time in all season. So that is progress. But let's go to the over-unders. Right now, it's Bears plus 5.5. PayPal, are you taking that, or do you think the Bears are going to lose by over that?
I think
it's at home.
I'm taking that, Brad.
Okay.
I think with how our team we're so surprising at this point. Like last week, our offense was like doing amazing again, but then our defense just absolutely crapped the bed. So I think this time we'll actually try to stay in a little bit where we're talking about the energy of the defense with Jack Sanborn. So I think they might go to a hot start, but then we'll kind of come back and only lose by, a field goal or so.
Cool. And then I got, I'll take this next one. I have Khalil Herbert. They have it's over under 36.5. I'm taking the over. I think that Khalil Herbert, they want to get the running game going, and he always busts something out, right? And over the past couple games, he's gotten over 10 carries. So I like that, and he's led the team in rushing yards practically every single week over the past couple weeks. But PayPal, switching over to you, Justin Fields, over 107, or the line is set 170.5 for passing yards.
Ooh, man, this is a tough one. That's that was easy for Herbert, I would say.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
no, it wasn't easy, but even the one that I had, that was pretty easy too. But this one, I'm gonna be optimistic, Johnny PayPal, and say that it's over. I think it's an over for Justin Fields. He's been looking great. I think maybe he gets a little bit more into the passing game this week with a tough running defense. So yeah, I say over 200 yards, 200 passing yards for Justin Fields.
Okay.
Maybe with a deep ball to Chase Claypool, that's going to be easy.
Yeah. Donald's agreeing with you too. Over 170. I think, that I agree with you there. And the last one that I'm going to give myself, I'm going to go with the other running back. David Montgomery's line is 51.5 rushing yards. And I'm actually going to go under because I think he's showing that. I think that even though he might be a little bit more efficient this game, right? Because he's just not been efficient. He really has not been able to sniff that 50-yard mark. So I would actually go with the under there, but the over for Khalil Herbert since Khalil's 36.5. So you're assuming if he is doing that over 4 yards a carry, Khalil only gets 9 carries. But Montgomery, I just don't see him getting that this week, especially because this should be a more pass-happy type of game. But let's go to our game prediction, shall we? So we already have one out there. Donald saying 32-24. Bears win at home.
Oh.
PayPal, you kind of alluded to it a little bit. What is your prediction? Actually, but first, before we get into that, I can't believe I forgot this. We have to go through the leaderboard.
I was fine with that. You could
me
and
the simulation are tied at 5-3. And PayPal, you're getting back up. You are at 4-4. The simulation was wrong last week, and they picked a dub for the Bears, but unfortunately, the Bears ended up losing that game. Early preseason, I predicted a loss. The simulation in the preseason predicted a dub. PayPal, you going with the dub or are you feeling optimistic? Johnny
Brad,
optimistic over here.
yeah, I'm going with the dub, Brad. I'm going
Okay,
Bears are winning this
okay.
game. I mean, with how our offense has been playing, I think we can get some points on the board. I mean, before it seemed like, all right, just try to get through the first half, And now I think we can actually put some points on the board. We're actually not going to be down 21 points on the first half. So, yeah, we're actually going to be able to put some points on the board. And yeah, I think it's going to be a close one through the first half and into the second half. So, let's keep that up. And the score. I'm going to say it's going to be a pretty tough one with seeing how many points the Cowboys scored on us. I'm going to say what's a good one? 31-28 us.
Okay.
So,
So who do you think is going to be player of the game then?
I think player of the game, I mean, this is kind of opt-out. Well, I'm going to do Justin Fields. I mean, he's
How many
been
passing yards?
200 plus. I don't know
200?
how many that is exactly, but I'm going to say 200 plus passing yards with probably
Okay.
300 total, 250 at least total offensive yards with including the running game and everything. Man,
Okay.
people can't keep him out of the pocket. I mean, he's a maniac when he's running with those legs. So
Sounds
yeah.
good. So this is something that I fear, right? In my head, I vision Tyreek Hill, I vision these speedsters just running amok on us. I'm nervous about this game. And
Yeah.
I like it that it's at home because we play very well at home. And I think especially if Fields is coming out. Imagine if Claypool gets a catch. People are going to be going crazy. And training camp, people are going crazy for N'Keal Harry. And I think this week, if you have N'Keal Harry, and like think about that, N'Keal Harry out there, physical beast. Then you have Chase Claypool. His measurables are equivalent to Calvin Johnson when he was at the combine. Like, not saying he is Calvin Johnson, but they call him Mapletron for a reason because he's Canadian and he's built like Megatron. He is a physical freak. We got those guys out there, but I think ultimately the Bears end up losing this game. I'm going to say 34-21, 34-24. I think that I could see them scoring a whole bunch on us. PayPal, I hope this is the week that you can kind of like regain some ground because we said the Bears should be able to win at home. But I'm looking at quarter4.io. I got to share this real quick so we can see the AI prediction, right? That's what everybody's here for. Let me just pull this
exactly
up. Quarter4.io. What we got right here is the Bears they're actually saying that the spread should be 7.5. They really like the Dolphins with this. So they would take the Bears. Let me share this. 7.5. They are giving the Bears a 25% chance to win. Not bad. Not bad. We'll take it. And over under 42.5. So let's test this out. I'm going to go over to the premium features and I'll run the simulation. We'll see how fast my computer's feeling today. And let's go to our player effect. Let's go home, our lovely Chicago Bears. And let's just throw out the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, I kind of agree with the 7.5. Because I feel like if they do win, I think they will outscore us by at least 10 points. If that does happen, if the running game falls, if they're able to run it with Mostert and take the top off with Tyreek Hill. But we'll see.
So the simulation does not like it. The simulation, we just ran it. 68% they're given to the Miami Dolphins. Not
look at the passing yards
outcome for the Bears. But yeah, look at that. Holy crap. They're projecting 242 yards from Justin Fields. Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
This is the prototypical, like, Bears take the L, but we'd be happy. Like if this happened and the Bears got beat by like 7.5, but Justin Fields threw for 242 passing yards, we'd be like, all right, yeah.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah, fine with that. Like yeah, totally more than fine with that. And yeah, just gonna look at some. They're hoping Byron Pringle can be out there. Claypool, if Claypool's out there, they're projecting 50. Darnell Mooney at 62. Should be a very interesting game to say the least. I hope that we just see some of that progress, right? Like, I think win or loss, the reason why that loss was so good was it just felt good because Justin Fields looked good, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't care if we lose this year. This year.
Yeah.
We want to keep it competitive. We just lost by 20 points last week, right? And we're still optimistic, not as in we, as in you and me, as in us Bears fans. We've been optimistic because we saw our franchise quarterback do well. Like you can't fight that. And I'm excited about it. Looks like Sam just dropped in with this as well. At the very end, you can still at least rewatch it, man. But yeah, and here we go. He at least was able to get his game prediction. Bears win 101-99. I think that's very accurate from Bam Bam Sam out here. It's going to be a high scoring game. I haven't checked the over under, but yeah, I feel like both teams are going to be scoring, dropping some points. But PayPal, this is going to be a good game. I'm excited to watch it. I'm excited to see it, and hopefully we can get some progress. But guys, make sure to like and subscribe if you're still watching out there. Comment down below on the video too if you're watching. If you're listening to it this far, you probably like what you saw. Also, make sure to download the podcast. Search for Unbearable Sports. Rate 5 stars. I saw some more 5 stars going out there on Spotify. If that was you, thank you so much. It helps out tremendously. Even if you don't listen to us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, you still can. And I greatly appreciate that. But with that, Unbearable Sports Podcast, we're out.
Yeah, she's got some nice long hair and